Well, even in the Halo game, they were still using basic guns.
I know, but the thing is that so watching a bunch of peasants walk around with a car that you're pretty sure is a 2000 Sentra in the background somewhere,
Yeah.
and they're fighting, and everyone's got hideous fucking weirdo haircuts. But don't worry, they all die except for girl, who no one cares about. Toss her in a dumpster. And meanwhile, we're all sitting here going, so when do we get to see the Pillar of Autumn? When do we get to see see the fall of Reach? When do we get to see the things that we actually care about? Like, I don't know. Things other than, the rest of the entire fucking Covenant, all of it. But no, we just got whatever this was, and fucking bullshit. No. So yeah, as much as I would love to have Halo being like, well, this is wrong. Like, well, yeah, the music's wrong too, and everything else is wrong. And oh, I'm sorry, we're done here. I'm done.
No, keep going.
No.
For the F-bomb.
I'm good.
I swear, like I'm trying to watch this Halo show, and I look at it and I'm like, I can't do it.
I'm watching it, and yes, I'm going to enjoy this, but boy, there is something that when I look at it, I'm not seeing Halo. I am seeing Walmart Great Value brand Halo. It's Halo, but it's in a white box with yellow letters that say Halo on it. You're like, well, it's like, hey, can I have Halo? No, son, we have Halo at home. And you pick up this.
It's better.
Here's Halo Light.
I'd rather deal with a Walmart version of Halo than a Wish version of Halo.
We've got a Wish version of a lot of things here lately.
But somehow, we're going to get a good Sonic movie. Of all the shitty movies and games that get shitty conversions, we're getting a good Sonic movie. What the fuck is wrong with our world? What clown world alternate universe are we in that Halo, that has books, lore, everything in the universe, beautiful music, and the music is thrown out. The characterizations are pulled out. The world locations are thrown out. The USC is completely changed. Now we got fucking PTSD trauma brainwashing going on to Master Chief, and now that he's touched the subject, and now he's a special Nova human he's the only one that can touch the super-de duper mystical magical thing that makes the Halos work. Oh, and the Halos, which are supposed to be this magical superweapon that nobody realized superweapon, we already know that episode fucking 2, the Earth forces. Well, there's the ultimate weapon in the universe, the Halos, and here's me going, wait a second, that's something we don't even find out until we actually arrive at one, aka Master Chief, running around it and going, I'm fighting you because I'm crashing on this mystical artifact thing in space, this megastructure, and oh shit, bad things. But don't worry, we're doing this on episode 2. We're going down. But hey, I'm going to watch it because I, too, am hoping very much deep down that we get some more badass discount Walmart brand first-person shooter Doom. Come on. Guy with
that's reaching back in the old shit box. Paper Plastic showed really quick. I just want to say the Moon Knight on Disney Plus. Say whatever you want to say about Disney. Moon Knight is on point.
Yes, I've enjoyed Moon Knight. That one has been fun. That one is not disappointing me yet, but I have faith that it won't, because Moon Knight is literally random bullshit, go and throwing fucking weird ass shit at people. You can't fuck that one up.
Don't say don't. Don't say don't.
It's already filmed. It's already been. It's in the can. It can't fuck up now.
Listen, hold on. In 2012, House of Mouse, but freaking Star Wars, which is a marriage made in heaven if you're an optimism major like myself, where you're like, oh, they have infinite funds, so we can get a good movie with good CGI that'll hold up, and maybe they'll go back to practical effects because that looks really good on 4K television, and maybe you'll get a movie with a good plot and some interesting characters to hand the torches to. But no, we're going to get a movie of Mary Sue and how she's good at everything. She inherits a Millennium Falcon. Chewbacca doesn't get hugged by Princess Leia. Princess Leia hugs the new girl. Chewbacca just lost his life buddy. His friend he walked around the universe with naked, with a bandolier around his shoulder and hip for decades. Han Solo's dead. And instead of fucking Princess Leia Organa giving Chewbacca a hug and saying, I'm so sorry, my furry companion. I loved him so much. She gives Rey, the fucking Mary Sue twat, a goddamn hug. Fuck you.
Yes.
Well, now that we have summoned the spirit of Sam Kinison, tonight we're going to be talking about mid-game levels in your game of RPG of choice.
Yes. Yes, we are.
What a segue.
Wow. I just had to put my head down because it's like, oh God.
For those who don't know who Sam Kinison is, I'm sorry that you were sheltered.
He is he's one of Peoria's three treasures.
Richard Pryor from Peoria.
That would be 2. And do you know number 3?
The drummer from REO Speedwagon?
Chad Gray?
Okay, it's 4 then.
The singer of Mudvayne? Wait,
I was going to say Fogelberg, but hey.
Wait, really quick. For those who don't know who Richard Pryor is, let me do a quick impression. Hold on.
No.
And that is how you get canceled.
This is how Bruce
stream has been brought to you by
in the early 80s. If you don't know what that means, look it up.
We're canceled. That's all I heard.
I know.
Well, that's what I heard too.
We're in the toilet. We're going to sell it off to Courtney Campbell. Make it woke, buddy. I want unicorns for every class of Pony Finder.
Yay!
We're playing.
I'm a pony.
My wonderful daughter wanted me to start tonight. I said this earlier to some of you guys. Wanted me to start tonight doing the voice of Herbert from Family Guy. But this show does have some standards. That's why Bruce doesn't show his face very often.
I did it. I just wanted you to.
Love you, Bruce.
Oh,
It's all right.
All right. Jump into things, shall we?
Listen, if you're not throwing shade to your buddies, you're really not. You're misinformed in thinking they're your buddies because you should always throw shade to your buddies. That's how you're buddies.
Yeah, it's true.
I'll just be glad because I'll be home next week. Yay!
Yay!
Extended training has been approved for Darren D-Rock. You've been hotel in Suites with the password for their Wi-Fi being Microtel. Why is it so slow?
All I heard was
okay, I will say this. I did stay at Microtel one week and it actually had the fastest internet because it actually had a jack in the wall that I could, plug in a Ethernet cord into. So
all I heard, yes, Dennis Leary is one of the is beautiful. So yes,
not from Peoria.
I know.
Doesn't matter.
We'll still take it. We would annex Dennis Leary. Yes, you're from Morton, Illinois.
God.
So now that we've gotten out, anybody else have to rage about anything?
No.
About Star Wars. Jay?
Oh, really quick on Star Wars.
No.
Here we go again.
I was on my throne, and I was thinking about the horrible world of Star Wars last 4-ish movies. And I realized how I can fix the last 3. Han Solo wakes up and looks at Wookiee and says, God, I just had a horrible dream. And we're done. And that could be a commercial on next year's Super Bowl.
All right, moving along.
this has been an interesting week for me. Except for one day, I've streamed the last 6 days. So,
wow.
Don't worry, we'll be doing it again tomorrow.
Yep. Actually, I'll be jumping onto a stream with Legion of Myth. If he's not, I'll run one. But I'm hoping he's in capacity to take a stream because
Whoa! Hold on.
What?
Phrasing?
Don't cross the streams.
So,
dear God, Bruce.
Jade, last session we did this.
Yes.
Last session we did this. I kind of ran with the ball, but I do like it when you moderate as well.
Okay.
Would you like to moderate this session?
I certainly can. Let me get my screens moved around a little bit. I've got some bullet points that might help guide me a little bit.
What?
I
You
thought
got prepared? Who the hell comes prepared?
Jesus. Game Masters come prepared.
Make us look
Wait, did
bad,
he say
man.
Game Masters? Because I thought I heard something else. Okay.
Referees come prepared.
There you go. Judges come prepared. So, tonight it's about the mid-levels of gaming and running the mid-levels of games. So I think we need to first define what are the mid-levels. For some, it might be 6 to 10, 8 to 15, 10 to 18. What you first have to define what are your mid-levels. So I'm going to start with Kai. What are your mid-levels for games?
Honestly, mid-level for me is always about the point when you're past the baby's first adventures, when you first lay out the world, and so about 4 to 9, the golden levels, the levels where it's actually fun, and before the rules become this weighted monstrosity on your shoulders and terrifying. But yeah, it's that point when you can just have fun with your players, just when you start giving them choice and letting them tentatively walk out of the box, and you're like, go on, shoot, explore, little one. And then they go wandering out there every once in a while, looking over their shoulders at you like, you're going to hit me, aren't you? No, I'm not an abusive dad. Now move. Yes, okay, this world's fun. Is you've given me 5 paths. Which of these 5 paths will hurt less? I don't know. Which one it will hurt you less? Oh. And that's the fun part. Those are the fun levels where they get to explore, where the stakes aren't quite, I'm going to kill you. And it's only, I'm going to maim you. And they're like, oh, can we have some fun? You can have fun. Go. Play. Frolic. Explore. Mark your territory. Mark what you think is important.
Hey, on everything.
Is this okay? That's a high-level zone. I'm ignoring that. I'm sorry. That was a bad. Did you read the warning sign? There wasn't that. It had a sign. Did you read it? It was in small print. Or I'm illiterate. I'm sorry. Abuse. Please stop hitting me. No. But yeah, this is the levels of when people get to have fun, experiment, and figure out where they want to go before they're locked in and go, this is what I want. This is when players are going those 4 to 6 magic levels where they're like going, I want to try this. This sounds good. This is fun. Good. Enjoy yourself. And make it fun for me, too. Okay. Good. Go. But anyway, that's my take.
Okay. Cigar GM, what do you consider mid-levels for you?
I prefer games, if I'm running through Pathfinder or 3.5, traditional D20 campaigns, I prefer 1 through 20. So for me, anywhere from 8 to 15 is a good middle ground, I think. Because you're doing a 20 levels in any campaign. You can go all 20, or you can break it up, play your Lego D&D character, now found on PlayStation 2, and see how that works out for you. But I find 8 to 15 where people finally start to get into the groove of what they want their character to be for the rest of it.
Okay. And Dirk Hardpack, what do you
Dirk
consider
Hardpack.
mid-levels?
For me, if I'm running like a, and I call it the middle levels, or you could call it Act 2 of your campaign, but typically this is the part of the campaign where you start, as a GM, you start to really show the players the scope of what they're dealing with and give them options. Like what Kai said earlier, they have 5 paths. They have 6 different opportunities to go different places and have different adventures. I kind of do the same thing, but I put a hex grid in front of them, and I'll detail like the parts of it they know, and I'll draw the landscape, and then the rest of it's all fog of war. And I let them explore and go out and do their own thing, because I think that's really important. And sometimes I'll pre-plan what's going on, and other times I'll literally do a Forbidden Land style die roll. What's here? What's over here? What's going on over here? And let it be a random event or random encounter. And I let them have all of that information, because if I put it in their lap, watching them deduct where they want to go die is probably the fun part of my job. And that's really not a poor way of looking at it. You let the players dictate how they move their train. And sometimes they say, well, I really don't want to do anything. I want to stay in this 6-acre hex, or this 6-mile hex. I don't want to go anywhere. Okay. And I'll see if something comes to them. But typically, I really don't force them to go anywhere. Now, in the background, I have a timeline of things that are going on, of people that are more powerful, of groups that are amassing power, like the current campaign I've got, where there's a 2-pronged invasion on a salted plain of savannas and hills, and I want the players to really just pick a direction and go for it. They might run into giants. They might run into hills and hills and hills of just lazy, salted mesquite scrub. They might bump into hobgoblins and strongholds and devious places, and a giant blue dragon or a Dracolich. I don't know. I don't have a clue. But I really want the players to see an idea of where they're going to be fighting for in their mid-levels. Like earlier, the lower level game, I really just want the players to go point to point, place to place, and get a lay of the land. I want them to get to know people. I want them to take notes. I want them to have details that they can recall and about certain characters or events and why they would be wanting to fight for it. And in the second act, I want them to see all the things that are in play. That's what's important to me. Up till about level 10 for a 3X game, level 8 for an AD&D game. And in a Star Wars D6 campaign, I pretty much would be putting them in a position to where they could have their Empire Strikes Back moment about right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Aaron, what do you consider the mid-levels?
I would say 7 to 15, 14. Kind of nestled in there. You know, it's when you starting getting your really cool stuff, and when the players can really start really putting the foot in their mouth. By that I mean that they great cosmic powers, but they're still in this itty bitty little space, and that they're sometimes they will run their mouth and not realize that they have screwed up until they have a foot put squarely in their back as a sword's being pulled out of it, type thing. And to me that is kind of also like the sweet spot. That's when, like, especially your mages, your clerics start getting their really cool abilities. It's when that they start, their power curve starts really ramping up. Fighters always kind of had it. That's kind of like where the fighters and the mages and even your rogues and rangers all kind of hit that plateau where they're all almost on the same footing, ground power level wise, of being able to do kind of equal amounts of damage. And that's kind of the to me that those are the fun levels, because like I said, they can actually do a bunch of different things all in and out. It's also where they have a lot of growing pains, because they think they can take on these big contracts to take out these big bad things, and yeah, you need to come up with another idea. Yeah, another. It also does help them if they have not learned to do the fight with tactics and stacking and stuff like that. That is where it really starts. You can really start hammering home, the especially the tactics of them actually working together to, for your synergies too. I mean, some of it, uh, and some of it is actually, that they're already kind of learning that, but they kind of have to relearn it once that power progression of those others come about, and that's kind of fun to watch how they kind of, fireball, oh crap, I just hit somebody, he said I just hit the tank, what am I doing, the stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of my little sweet spot that I love.
Okay. So for me, it really depends on at what level the game's going to be ending at. So I've played games that have ended at levels 45, 50, and even 60. So, the mid levels were really like 15 to 25 in a lot of cases. And, those are like grand epic campaigns that take 5, 6 years to play through. So, and you're right, Baron, where, that spot where, as far as like power level goes, between different character classes, they kind of meet right there at that midpoint. That is the sweet spot. That is the mid level of play. Well, thinking about mid level of play, what kind of challenges should players be ready to face at these kind of levels? I'm going to start this one off going the other direction with the Baron. At what kind of challenges do you throw at players at these mid levels?
That's just really where you start throwing and bringing out those beautiful things that have, for your wizards to just really, really anger them. Those two beautiful words that every time you cast a spell at them, that as a DM, you look at them in the eye and go, roll SR. Because that there's nothing that will anger your magic users more than looking at them and go, roll SR. Because yeah, in the look on their face, like, are you kidding me? I've only got 2 of these. Are you kidding me? And though, so looking at things that have SR, that have also, because mostly by this time they probably don't have it, the damage / animantine, or stuff like that. You start throwing some of that stuff up there too, just for, they don't even have to be like really big bad monsters. It's just they have a DR versus, against everything except for the animantine or cold iron. That's another fun one too. Because they are saying they're hitting them with their best hits, and then all of a sudden it's like, why won't you die? Die. And also it's also the, then if you really want to be that DM, which none of us here would ever be, you add those together. And then it just becomes a fun time, because then they have to decide, are they going to keep going down this road that's not working, or are they going to pull back and try to figure out a way around it? So that's the big thing too. Is that's one of the things I like to do. I'll pull a storm giant or something like that and just throw it out there, just to see if they will attempt to kill it or if they'll run. They usually it's about a 50-50 shot. They may run. They may say, "I can do this." Oh, no, you can't. Look, you're part of Bruce's game, aren't you? Oh, you got killed by that. Half the party got killed by that dragon. Oh, and all you had to do is drop your loot, and it would have been fine. Oh,
Yeah, there's some salt going on there.
Salt in those wounds there.
I wasn't part of the campaign where loot had to be dropped, so it wasn't me.
Maybe a little bit of iodine in that wound.
What are you talking
about?
about?
What about you, Bruce? What kind of challenges do you like to throw at your party for the mid-level game as examples?
Have you ever played XCOM UFO Defense or XCOM Enemy Within?
I have not.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm about to make some people really happy, and I'm going to make a lot more people really pissed. What I like to do is I want to make the characters have choices that are going to have echoes for the rest of the campaign. And therefore, if you're ever playing XCOM UFO Defense, you'll have these tactical battles on a really pretty battlefield where you get to kill aliens and move your squad around. And then you'll win and you get back to your base. And then the game says you must choose between one of these three outcomes or one of these three events. You must make a choice. Two of these individuals affected will not appreciate your lack of attention. The third person who you do choose will greatly appreciate you until the next big decision where you have to forego their capacity and help try to keep somebody else from slipping away completely, getting obliterated by the alien menace. And so I do the same thing. I'll have the characters like you can either help out this character who she's an NPC in your party and she's currently your cook. You can help out this NPC. He's not in your party. He has a lot of wealth. And he says, my adventure is right over this next hill, but I don't want her coming near me. And then you have a third choice where you can ignore those two, and maybe the cook will come along or not, but your adventure is on this map, and you've been trying to follow it, but every Tom, Dick, and Harry is coming to you with side questvania. You must choose. And I make it happen like that. I want the players to discuss where they can go, and I want the NPCs to be right there as you're being told, no, we don't want to go rescue your mother. We don't want to go help out your family. Your daughter, we'll get her later. She can handle another week and a half of being molested by the hobgoblins and the orcs that they've hired. You'll be fine. I'm absolutely certain. By the way, this is a PG-13 stream. It's probably rated R, but I'm very certain that my characters are going to seek therapy at some point and be like, the DM touched me on my priorities button, and I've not been the same since. I have analysis paralysis because a lot of players will. A lot of games turn into 45-minute long sessions where I'm looking at the players begging in my eyes, will you make a fucking decision? So that's where I'm at as a GM, and I make the players have these decisions where, like, you're probably not going to be wealthy, but you're going to probably stop a dwarven girl from getting the bad touch from an orc tribe. So, yeah, if you're looking for karma points and good boy pats in the back, you're going to get those. For those of you that are of the greed mindset, you're probably not going to be too happy with this party. And that's okay. I want the players to make those decisions. I want them to make the decision to either yes, we're in it for golden glory. Or I've got to help out this damsel in distress. I've got to help out this orphanage. There's an evil cult that is in charge of this orphanage over here. We must stop them from destroying and corrupting the innocence of these children. I want the players to make big, weighty decisions. And I don't want them to be feeling regret for it. I want them to stand fast and firm whenever they are held accountable for it. Because even if they were greedy and they're like, no, we've been hunting for this treasure at X marks the spot for over 3 years. I'm sorry about your woes and your problems. If only you were a high-level magic user like me, you could cast Disintegrate on all your problems. I want them to have situations like that. I really do. Because I want my players to be honest. I want to be them as honest as I am to them. Does that answer your question, sir?
Yes, that definitely answers the question. Cigar GM, what about you?
Well,
what kind
after
of challenges do you like to throw?
Well, after listening to Dirk, what the fuck was I just thinking?
Dirk Hardbeck.
Yeah, that's not what she said. Anyways, I kind of agree with that. I mean, with the modules, you can put down so many choices on the table, what the book is. Or as a intelligent DM that likes to read, you can ad-lib modules and throw in other concepts in it, like the Carnival of Wolves that Baron G-Rock has brought up before. Or, see, these are clan of Doors over here that went down their mind. They haven't been seen in 2 or 3 weeks. Can we get you to go down there? Sure. As one of the other players like, well, this is not in the module. I'm like, what the frack are you looking at the module for? But no, I like to throw things up because just because the train goes from St. Louis to Chicago doesn't mean shit doesn't happen. So that's where I like to, and this is around mid-range because now players should never be too comfortable on the chair. There should always be something there that leaves them perching on the edge. It's like, if I make that decision, how's it going to screw me in the back end? But saving a princess, yeah, but what were you saving her from? A good marriage? Oh, God. Just because her daddy didn't like her husband, you went over there and killed her husband? How dare you? But we were told that he was a bad guy. Should have thought for yourself. So that's the way I kind of do things. I'm a classical literature type person. I like to make people think for themselves. Even if I'm running a module that says, no, it has to be A, B, C, and D, well, I'm going to throw an F and a U and a C and maybe a K somewhere in there. So that's where I'm at.
Okay. Kai, you look like you're brewing up a storm there.
So anyway, yeah. Mid-level is that point when I think for me, I'm just going to jump right into this one. But yeah, mid-level is that point when players have moved finally past dirty fucking hobo stage where they're all scraping in dirt and holding up help wanted signs saying, hungry, have family, desperate on a street corner, give me adventures. So that way I can become, so you've finally gone from I'm wearing a dirt sack and I'm using some rusty ass garbage, and now you're able to go out there and be an entrepreneurial spirit and gone, I can set my own destiny and I'm going to move out into the world and make a name for myself. Meanwhile, the world is very large and scary, and if you're brave and wonderful, now's the point where you get to actually have that action movie that everyone wants to have, where you get to go out there and, you know, you've beaten up a few kobolds and some goblin hordes and that orc tribe over there, and you made Metamora safe. You feel good. You're confident. You can go out in the world. Chicago's not that scary. Oh God. And meanwhile, they're all like, "Oh, hey there, country boy. What are you doing?" I'm the hero of Hoboken, Fantastic. Give me your lunch money. No, I'm a hero. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you over. Give me your lunch money. And this is where the players can either be heroes, start making a name for themselves, or just go, I'm making do. I am passing by. I'm making no name for myself. Sure, you're moving up the levels, but nobody gives two shits about you. And and you're right, it is the part where you get to pull off their plot armor. Like, no, this is where finally you get that first taste of you're a big boy now. You get to go out there and your mentor is now 100 miles away, and everyone you knew is, well, unless you want to be that guy who, I've never been more than 20 miles from my hometown in my entire life, and the only adventure is that which comes down Highway 24. And you can usually see it coming down the road because there's a smoke trail and all that other shit. And now we're going to go out there and fight it. Why? Because we got to defend our little gas station. And you know what? That's okay. There is those, hell, being the way station in the middle of hell might just be a nice little way of, like, what is your ambition? I run the general store. He runs the blacksmith, and our entire goal is to keep this town of 300 people alive. From what? Whatever that's coming down. Like, we only have two ways in the town, north and south. And if it's coming from east and west, we can see it through the cornfields because all the desks get kicked up. And so, yeah. But, adventuring, you finally end up going out there. And the Casey's. But
it's a Hux. Don't lie to yourself. It's a younger brother.
No. Casey's got pizza.
Yeah, that's why it's Hux, because you're lying to yourself.
Yeah, you're right. But no. This is what the middle levels are all about. Is where you decide on where you're going to go. But in the XCOM, this is the point where before, if to use Bruce's XCOM thing, which was such a good answer, it's like this is where you get to still go out there and go, I'm going to go fight for here, here, and here. The Russian Federation really hates you. You should probably defend Russia. No, Russia doesn't pay me enough money. I'm defending Europe. China hates you. I really don't care. North America likes me. Africa hates you. I don't really care. South America likes me. They're all going to betray you eventually. No, I am going my way. I don't care who I burn. This is the point where everyone gets to stab a few backs. You don't think there's consequences yet because the consequences are minor. Who cares? You're still small. You still think you're small fry, but you're earning that name. And now soon, and as you said, that number click higher towards 7, from 6 to 7 towards 8, and at 8, the GM goes from, oh, I'm enjoying your antics and playful stupidity, and then suddenly at like 8 to 9, that gleam comes into their eyes, going, and now is when everything, all the karma points you have been earning, are going to come to pass. Start paying up. What do you mean? You've had 6. I've given you the middle levels to build your base. Do you have friends? Do you have allies? Have you made contacts? You're about to lose any protection you had. Why? Because you're about to leave middle levels. But you haven't told us to do this. You should have been aware. You should have been reading all the road signs. But we've been all just, yes. And in a few moments, your immunity. If anyone's ever played an RTS game, the no rush timer.
Yeah, that 5-minute timer goes away fast and stuff.
Like
those damn Koreans. That's all I'm gonna say.
5 minutes, no rush. And guess what? The middle levels is your no rush time, where you can go out there. I'm going to throw things at you. There's going to be adventures, as much adventure as you want. If you want to have every day being fight an orc horde, I want to do this. I will make sure you have that. I will give you what you want. I want to chase ancient artifacts. Good. That's the reputation you're going to be. But realize that when 9th level hits, when you exit middle levels, that's the point when if you're the artifact hunter, the Nazi official walks in there, burns down the bar of your ex-girlfriend, and now the real campaign starts. If you're the orc horde killer, this is when the orc warlord kicks your teeth in. Good luck. If you're, defending against the ultimate evil, level 8, level 9, that's the point when suddenly the archdemon of hell, makes his first appearance. You've been fighting minions, you've heard about him, but this is when he enters the stage. Your actions are telling me how I'm going to abuse you. Come forward. But if you've been not preparing, like, I'm Conan, I'm the Conan thing. I'm just gonna be a wandering badass walking through the countryside. Well, I hope you only piss off people that you can handle with you, a sword, and your sword, some buddies, and some rocks and a tree. That's going to be all that you got to defend yourself with, because that's what middle levels are. It's have fun. It's like, this is the fun levels. This is when you get to do things. And the whole time I'm just taking notes and setting up all the dominoes on where I'm going to hit you from. And hopefully you've been counter preparing for what you're going to do too. And it becomes that little meta game that you're just playing in the background, going, who's going to fuck up first? And I've got more toys to play with. But it's your world. Enjoy dancing in it until it's on fire, and that's why I'm going to love it so much. Anyway, that's my answer.
Can I jump in really quick, Jay, before we move on?
Yeah, no, go for it.
Two things. One, Shadow and Sun asked Kai what kind of flag that he has in the background.
The flag is actually the Imperial German war banner from approximately 1897 through 1918. I needed to have it. All my other flags came down, and that was the last one that I couldn't get wrapped. I'd get folded up, and the wall would be very empty for tonight, so I left it up. So it's going to move tonight or next week. Whenever I leave this place, that flag's coming down. So
I gotta
this. What was that, Bruce?
I was just going to ask, Kai, would this be about the same time where you knock on the player's fort and the player answers? The messenger escorts from the front gate to the courtyard area an undead orc who says he wants his pie back.
that would be about now. Would be about now. And
go for it. Go for it. Finish.
That was what I was going to ask.
Okay.
No pie for you.
The second part of my two-part thing is, as I was listening to Kai, I couldn't imagine but imagining his players winning golden tickets in the lottery at wherever he works. They go to the gates, and he meets them at the with this elaborate outfit on with his top hat. And he gets them in there. It's like, I want you to understand by reading the rules of the game, sign at the bottom. Mr. Kai or whatever, we can't read. Oh, you don't know. It's all legal. Don't worry about it. Just sign right here. Then they get into first through whatever. Come with me and you'll see. Then right when middle level hits, the fat kid goes up the damn tube and off the races we go.
Fair enough.
You're not wrong.
No, you're not wrong. That is around Act 2. That is actually the start of Act 2 of that book and movie. So
sorry, that's the mental image I got.
Wait, you've read the book for Willy Wonka's Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory?
Yes.
Wow.
Great school.
How dare you know half my book?
That is a great book.
It is.
Yeah.
How much pee is in the chocolate pond? That's in the lemonade pond, good sir. Lemonade
that's
pond.
Lemonade Pond.
Yeah, that's when they tell everybody get out of the ool. Out of the ool, yeah, because there's no pee in the pool.
Yep.
We're
So,
done. We're done.
For me,
sir.
mid levels, for the really high epic campaigns, being levels 18 to 25, I'm those are a lot of like really common aspects of the mid levels of games. It's where GMs go, hey, I'm setting up the main story here, and as you're exploring and doing things and screwing other NPCs over and screwing over the kings and nobles of the area by thwarting their goals and plans, that's where the consequences start building up for the player actions. Like they eventually they keep doing these things and raffle stomping their way through pretty much everything. They're just thinking, la-di-da, I'm just here to have a good time, and I'm gonna go over to that baron's place and I'm gonna kick his ass out of the barony and I'm gonna take over. This is where the consequences start turning. Now the consequences come due. Yeah, I see you there. The consequences come due in the final act, the end game or high levels of play, and we'll get into that next time on the next channel, not channel, next stream.
Sorry,
go ahead.
I go ahead. I'll answer Shoner in a moment. So
okay. So now it comes question of what kind of plot elements are becoming key to keep players at the table session after session during the mid-levels. Like, how do you hook them in? How do you keep them interested? And how do you keep it going for mid-level play? And this is a question of for even inexperienced GMs. This is where it's like, hey, here's our pro tips for saying, here's a hook. Here's how you keep them at the table and keep them coming back. So I'm going to go Wittershin order, starting with Kai.
Okay. Quick Shoner. I'm moving in about 9 days. So everything's already in boxes. And the shelves just haven't moved yet. And it is it's depressing. It's so very depressing. My life is in boxes right now. And I'm living out of a hamper. It's miserable. But the internet hasn't been installed in a new place yet, so I can't.
Living out of hampers. God, that sounds like college all over again.
I know. I have about as much stuff that's accessible at the moment. It's horrible. And hey, I'm better now. I eat Culver's tonight. Thank you very much.
Ooh.
I've never been there. I got
No
check
ramen?
that place out.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm eating the ramen down. But anyway, how to hook them in? Well, at this point, hopefully when I've thrown them out of the kitty box and into the front yard and gone, good little minions, enjoy grass, touch the grass, enjoy. They'll hopefully have gotten enough motivation and the occasional shock prod that says move or I kill you. And they'll go out there and, I'm going to establish a town. And then I'm like, well, okay. So that's what you want. Yeah, I want to go look. I want to build this. I want to go here. Cool. Now let me take your desires and wants and then wrap the world around you. So that way, what you want is actually going to drag you like a boat anchor to the bottom of the ocean at my whim. And the more that the party gets engaged and more of it, the more I get to wrap them around it. So that way, when they do something wrong, I just push them off, and they get to have fun because everyone likes to swim, very much so. And it's just one of those moments of, so the hooks are literally, I've already hopefully by those early levels have already given me the hooks I need to drag them around for the rest of the campaign. I mean, if someone likes nature too much, I know that I can keep them hooked by giving them pretty, neat new animals, neat new trees, and then periodically fire to the trees, and periodically, shoot an arrow into a cute fox, and suddenly the druid is ready to fucking go to war. And now I can just go, man, it's been quiet for 2.5 seconds, and boop, thump, eep, 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 eep. Oh, the druid! Did I hear a fish being hurt? Fuck that shit. And now they're going to go off to war. The fighter who's going, man, all I care about is my blacksmithing industry. Somebody's I'm knocked out your coal and iron access. Really? Okay, I'm going to go take care of that. You have a rival group of it's like for the treasure hunters. You have a rival group of treasure hunters who are out there trying to get to your thing first. Well, fuck that French guy. I'm gonna fucking knock it. No, he ain't getting that dig site first. Guys, we need to go. Why? That French team's gonna beat us there, and we can't let those French teams win.
What?
Yeah. Meanwhile, the arrogant French guy, haha, I'm better than you, and you know it. Well, fuck that guy. Fuck him and his entire team. We're gonna go take care of this shit. And now you got them engaged. It's always the guy. I don't care about any of that. I care about the gods and religions, and a heretical sect has decided to move into your area, and they're building a temple across the street. Oh, fuck that shit. And now it's like, it's on. And you just keep on having fun this way, like whatever interest they show. So unless you have a table of only 6 pieces of bland, beige-colored clay sitting at each table who have no personalities, and they all look at you like, please input adventure, please input motivation to me, for I have no free will. I cannot think unless you give me thoughts. Your players, was that?
They're married?
They're NPCs.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You got a table of NPCs sitting at your table, and you're sitting here going, what do you guys want to do? I have no ambitions outside of what the game module tells me to go. Please tell me where game module wants me to go next. It's chapter 4. Please take me to chapter 4, please, so that way we may now engage the scenario. So that way I may roll stat checks and or attack rolls and saving throws. At which point I will engage the enemy at optimal movement. My fellow teammates are also optimally designed to fight these things, and we will now move across the map that you will draw for us. And please now insert loot, for we have defeated villains. Good. Now let's move on. But thank God, most players, 90% of your players, are not automatons that you program to fight. And I'm okay with that. So your players are going to give you the hooks. You don't need to throw hooks at them. You can go, I think this is a cool idea. And your party goes, like, so the party has their own goals, and you go, hey, this is a cool storyline. But just remember, you're fishing in a very big pond where all of them could be well fed, and unless you starve them, you're sitting here with bait lure. You're just kind of casting and going, nope, and your players are just gonna do the work for you. Let them carry everything, and all you gotta do is sit back every once in a while and go, things are gonna go wrong now. I'm gonna make your life miserable. And suddenly it's fun. Now you got, and they make it all entertaining for you.
Okay. Cigar GM, what keeps your players coming back at the mid-tier gameplay?
Well, I got two. Trying to stop the smart-ass answer to come out of my mouth, and it was bad. Well, it depends on who I'm running for. Yeah, the stripper guild does keep players at the table. They offer milkshakes. That's what keeps my players coming back. There's a mental image of a half orc. Anyways, that just ruined it for everybody.
Tanya will treat you right.
All right, what keeps my players coming back? Really depends. If I got keeping with the Willy Wonka and Chocolate Factory theme I kind of kicked off with, if I got the halfling that yells at the gods, give me the goose with the golden egg, it produces the golden egg, I will make Wonka, but she'll pay for it. I don't know how she'll pay for it, but she'll pay for it. Or maybe I'll have an Avenger moment when I kill off one of the players at, I don't know, level, I said, what did I say? Level 7 to 15. I knock him off roughly about 10th level, and I blood eagle him right in the middle town square, making the parties having that ultimate Avenger moment. We might not be able to save the Earth, but we'll be able to avenge it. And stuff like that will keep it going. Yeah, there's easy ways to keep your party interesting. Gold, fame, but they're not going to remember it because that style of campaigning, in my opinion, just bleeds into the next game. You have to have those memorable moments, those moments of Dresden changes, where he has a choice to either, he has to, spoilers here, he has to do something to save the world. But here's the choice. Not doing it will cause his child to die, or he has to kill the woman he loves to save the world. Now, these are the choices that you should make your players have to choose. It might not need to be middle level. It might be the end of thanks, Boo Boo. It might be child. It might be in-game type antics, but these antics don't really have a time limit. I think these antics should be in the middle, the beginning, the middle, and the end to keep your players invested. Because they're asking as much from me as I'm asking from them to show up every week, sit down, and play the game. Because we all can find something else to do. It's not that hard. So make it interesting for your party. Okay. And that's where I'm at. Plus, who doesn't like a blood eagle? For those who don't know what that is,
don't look it up.
Don't look it up.
Don't look it up.
Give him the stick. Don't give him the stick.
Dirk Hardpeck, how do you keep your players coming back to the table at the mid levels?
Typically, what will happen is I will stop the combat or stop the game right before a important moment. Like I'll set the scene where somebody's walking up the pathway and it leads into the next chapter or two of their activity. I'll have, like this last session I ran only 5 hours, maybe 4, but they had a really big combat for about an hour and a half. And then when that was finished, we went through this narrative where I was asking players what they were doing, and I kept them engaged because they finally got control of this tower and this fort that was attached to it. And they finally got it. They finally ran out all the Fae that were there. They made them scatter to the 4 winds. And they were very happy with that. And so I gave them the opportunity to kind of take a break and do some crafting. I gave them out of a month, like 10 days to do crafting. So something up to 10 grand worth of value. If you can do it, go for it. And they finally had the chance to take a breather. And I made 6 weeks pass because I wanted them to be well rested and invigorated. Plus the fact the bad guys have to recoup. Even though it's a 2-pronged invasion, I'm not making it to where the machinations are being found out as of yet. I want them to have a little bit more time and let the players discover more of the landscape around them. And they'll probably be behind the 8 ball once they figure out what's going on. They'll probably be like, fuck, we got to catch up. But I want them to value what they've got. And so I give them land. And I give them the ability to have dominion over cattle and be sufficient enough in their means to where they can protect a few people. And there's storylines within these NPCs. There's quests and there's things to do. And I'm trying to breathe as much life into this narrative as I can because I'm bastardizing 3 or 4 different campaigns from previous efforts and letting the players just run with it. It's scattered all over the land. You have to go find it. It's a hex crawl. Have fun. And I give them the reins to do that. And I'm going to keep doing that well into Act 3, well into the high levels, which I see now that my high levels are different than everybody else's because I think 2025 is high levels. Like that's the penultimate game right there. The penultimate fights are right in that area. You, Jade, you're like level 45, level 60. Like, no, I don't want to be that creative.
100.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I played a game to 100. It was insane.
14.
Was that Scott?
I
No.
rolled and I saved. I passed my saving throw. Well, you should. You're only like level fucking 50. You know,
Yeah,
I'm just,
I'll get into that in a moment.
okay. When you do that, but does that answer your question?
Oh yeah.
I think with being a GM, I think if you give more of the opportunity to the players, but you adhere to a strict timetable, you set the game to where they realize they're going to be behind the 8 ball, but if they are smart with their resources, they could possibly come out even, maybe ahead by the time they're level 13, 14, 15.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to step off for a
Baron
second.
G-Rock.
I'll be right. I'll be here, but I got to step off.
Baron G-Rock. How do you keep your players coming back to the table during the mid levels?
Well, and we talked about the hooks. Sometimes you need that golden carrot on the hook, just to put it right in front of their nose to keep them going. Oh, well, there's some really awesome gear that's possibly over here. That will definitely motivate some of them going, what? More gear? Yes, better gear. I like gear. And then you take the gear away because when they put it on, it disappears.
That was definitely
and then
him.
and then come to find out it's actually rusty chainmail from a bygone age. Oh, but they have to figure out because it's an ancient age that this comes from. So that will give them all kinds more of interesting hooks, especially those that like to look into more things of the like the history of the world type things, that they like to dig. They love they're getting into the lore now. The mid levels is when the lore really starts to roll out because and we talked about it earlier. They're in this little bitty box. Then Kai kicks them onto the grass. And they're like, oh, this is pretty grass. Then they find this weird coin. Where does this come from? We must find where this comes from and return it. Or try to find out more about it. And they go along their way, sometimes bumbling, sometimes not. It's more fun if they bumble. Just saying. But at that point, that's when they are starting to bring in the lore. So if you're looking at and I'm going to say the word, Bruce isn't here, so that's fine. If you're looking at Tolus, that's when you're starting to get into the what is this? What's actually the Spire is about? Or you're looking at Pathfinder. Wait, there's an underground to Magnamar. Magnamar was, or I think Magnamar was built on top of an old city that was built on top of an old city, et cetera, et cetera. And that's when they start finding out things that maybe people didn't know. And then, and once again, you're diving into the lore. You're starting to pull that out. You're getting deeper into the story. Yes. You're pulling them deeper into your story hooks and plot. And this is when they start really learning to grow and using the knowledge that they're coming up with, especially when you start throwing other stuff out there left and right. And then all of a sudden they're like, well, wait, we heard something about this. And then you have that one gamer at the table. We all have him at the table that opens up the notebook. Flip. Oh, this is what this is about. Well, it's not only you, but it's also that one. So, but looking at the lore absorbing it. That's where the lore actually really begins to take shape. And and truthfully, without that lore, you're not going to keep them invested, because that is another big way of keeping them invested. Is, oh well, there's an ancient temple that you found is out out in the jungles, so they go out and find this. It just happens to look like a certain Toltec temple down in the Mexican rainforest. You know, oh look, they worship snakes. Oh, this may not be good. Oh, and yeah, it's start going into you can pull real life stuff in too, because and even use that as part of the lore. If you want to pull up Machu Picchu and go, this is what it looks like. It's overgrown. It's got vines everywhere. You're finding all kinds of weird things. This is the thing that really, and this is where you start setting up the end game. That's the big thing. Is this is where you start dropping those hooks of the end game, and it's trying to figure out what's going to draw them and keep them invested to get to your end game. So that's kind of my look and take on it. And yes, I said story. Yes, the story. So yeah.
I got two little things real fast.
Sure.
And there really isn't a problem of players not coming back, but there is that sense of you need to work to get them out of what they want to care about the actual rest of the campaign, where they're not just there to be a warm seat looking for combat. Because if you're not doing your job as a GM to make them want to be invested, that's what you're working on. Is that, like, you're not doing your job right if you got a player who goes, all I care about is when I roll initiative. And like, do you know why you're fighting? Not really. So, and eventually,
Me good, they bad.
Me good, they not party, we party. I kill, not party, and that's their entire motivation, and that's okay. But I've discovered over time that those players are the ones that tend to wander away from the game. Like at that point, if you got a waiting list, you're like, I don't care. They can leave. And then you go, next person, come on in. The thing is that not all of us have that kind of a waiting list. Or, if that guy you work with who you enjoy hanging out with goes, you know what, my Saturdays can be better spent doing yard work or working on my car. So I'm not coming to the game anymore. And you're like, but dude, we kind of need you. So throughout the week, your friend who you go out and drink with, he's no longer the guy at the table anymore. He's just that guy you work with. And now you got to go out and find a new person to buy that slot. So you do want to have them engaged, so that way they look forward to over lunch going, oh shit, that thing we were talking about? Yeah, I want to do that thing. Good. We'll get back to that on game session. Or hit me up on I just send me a message over Messenger or an email. We'll talk it out and we'll figure it out. So that way when we get to game session, we can ambush the party with whatever stupid shit that you're doing. Yeah, I'm up for that. Good. But conversely, the next thing I saw there was, if players, a player really isn't looking forward to learning more lore unless you make them not make them, but hook them into wanting to learn more. Because I've had some players who just go, I don't care about why the war happened, just that the war is happening. And you're like, you're such a naive gem. And they go into it and it's like, you hit them with a freight train. Like, where'd the freight train come from? Oh, all that study you didn't do? Yeah, that would have told you there's a freight train up ahead. Well, you could have told me, no, you didn't want to learn. Well, crud. You know what? I'm going to suplex the freight train. Ugh! You're like, fuck yeah, okay, dude, good. Oh, fuck yeah. Where did the train come from? I don't know. It's suplex now. It's up to you. Anyway, done.
So, okay, cigar.
I think there's a side little note that should be put in there.
Sure.
If you've got a player that's playing the mentally challenged barbarian, but their stats above 10, then you need to set them aside and say, hey, you do know your character at least has a high school education. He's not Bobo the cowpoke. He is Tommy went to school and got an A on his test. Now, if you rolled, depends on how you roll and your DM. If you roll a low number, which does happen, it really does happen, and you're playing a barbarian or something where intelligence is not your strong suit, because, in the old days, barbarians had to be literate. They didn't read. They didn't. Their classroom went from age 1 to age 5, as long as they can count how many heads they have on their shelves. That's all it took. Then fine, you can play the dumb barbarian. I will allow that. And the dumb DM.
One second on that. Well, you say the intelligence where they went to school and got an A. You also have to remember there's different types of intelligence. It's the same thing as book smart and street smart.
Intelligence with wisdom.
Exactly.
Well, that's wisdom. Yeah, that's fair.
But you know that if you are going to go out with a pike, you're going to be able to probably kill something to bring back home. But you don't necessarily know how to make that pike that you're carrying. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's a different type of intelligence. It's not necessarily book learning. It's the intelligence of you've been trained to do it this way. This is how to do it.
Right. I guess, yeah, and I completely agree. I just, I'm trying to stay within the session that we're talking about, but that just irritates me when players don't understand how their stats work and where their character's intelligence, charisma, wisdom should be. Dex and con and strength is easy enough to explain. It really is. It's the mental stats that people get weird with, and middle of the road, middle levels gaming, your stats do come and play. They come in and play a lot. And if your player does not knowing how to use his stats, depends on the system. Not all systems are created the same, but depending on your system, at age, man, it's been a long day. At level 10, you have enough feats underneath your belt where you can start creating magical items. And this is mid-level. So having a 5-minute conversation with your player, or having a player say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. DM, can I have 5 minutes with you to talk about my character, is never a bad idea, especially at middle level. It's not going to get any easier as the game keeps leveling up. So I'm sorry, I'll get off my soapbox.
No, that's fine. That's kind of why we have these streams. Is
I also want to add something. I need to add something about middle levels. One more way you keep the gamers coming back. This is especially good for arcane spell users. There's a point in your gaming with that hero that you shed your mentor, or you and your mentor are now on a friend level, like Ichabod and Dresden are. Is that his name? The Great Knight?
No, it's not Ichabod.
McCoy.
McCoy, yeah.
McCoy.
That's
right. Ichabod. Who the fuck is that?
I was thinking it was
Ebenezer McCoy.
Sorry. But no,
Ebenezer.
When the geezer and him are on parable level, there's a sense of entitlement that they should be given Like, you can figure things out for yourself now. I don't need to babysit you on your spell progression. You have an adventuring party and a family that you're trying to deal with. And if you want help, I should be around. You can leave me a message in the window like you always do. But in all honesty, I'm no longer your mentor. I'm your friend. I'll see you later. Good luck. And there should be a point in the campaign where that does happen, where your player realizes the training wheels are coming off. And so you have, as a GM, as a storyteller, as a referee, or as a judge, you have the ability to convey that to a player where you're no longer a teenager. You are responsible for what happens to your skin. And that's something that needs to be done in early game, maybe Act 1, maybe the start of Act 2, but no later than the start of Act 2. That might be the defining moment for it. You could do that if you want to watch Gorion die over and over again. You could do it at the start of their game where they're being escorted across the plains by Candlekeep, and you're assaulted by a band of ruffians, and you watch Gorion get just hacked to death by magic missile spells and Mordenkainen's sword. You could do that, but really, you want to have Act 2. The training wheels should fully come off. And Kai hit this a little bit earlier, but you need to make sure that the players know it's up to them. They're the ones, the onus is completely on their shoulders. Does that make you guys think about that? Or did you guys think that was an Act 1 situation?
No.
I think it depends, because sometimes you can use that in Act 1, and for actually killing the mentor is another way to rip those training wheels right off too. And I mean, we've all seen that. That is, I hate to say it, that is a kind of a slightly overused little trope, but it's still a usable trope. Or, even if it's like the magic user's mentor, oh, well, he cast a spell and put himself into this crystal. And now you've got to figure out how to get him back out. There's
a story. Actually, it's a real true life story. Was it? I'm gonna mess up the name, but it's Morgan, MJ Morgan, the billionaire, the one who basically screwed Tesla. I can't think of what's his name? Something Morgan. There's a bank named after him too. Anyway, his dad came to him when he was about, what was it?
JP Morgan?
Yeah, JP Morgan's dad. When JP Morgan was roughly about 10 years old, 10 to 11, his dad dropped $1 million in front of him on a piece of paper. Says, son, I want you to pick this up. This is what $1 million looks like. Takes away. Now go make your own. It's sometimes it just drives the force home.
Well, see, for me, in my middle game, or my mid levels, keep in mind I'm talking levels, 18 to 25 for my high level games. What I keep bringing my players back with for those, and it's not necessarily about player retention. I do have a list of players that I could invite at any time. If someone goes, hey, this is not working for me, I gotta leave, I just I hit the button, go now seating player 42. I not every GM has that. Not every game master has that revolving list of players. So my question wasn't necessarily, about player retention specifically. It was more about, what keeps them wanting to come back. So for me, what keeps my players wanting to come back, at least has been my experience, is I feed them the lore early on. Like, they know and have lived in the world for the Act 1. They are really getting a lot of moving pieces here and there in Act 1. But in Act 2, they're seeing a lot of those bigger grand pieces. Like, they're seeing just the small cogs in the big wheel. at level, at the interim levels. Once they hit mid levels, they're seeing the springs, the giant cogs, the worm gears, that run the whole thing, and they're starting to piece together how everything is moves with each other. Now, something else I do for Act 1, or actually before the game starts, is I ask my players, hey, here's the story, here's the world that we're playing in, here's like where I want to head with this game, to begin with. I also want your character's goals within this world. And that's where I start bringing those goals, those personal character goals or player goals, like, oh, hey, you wanted to become, a king. We're going to start working on that now during mid-game or during mid-levels. We're going to start working towards your individual character or player goals during mid-level. And that's how I keep them hooked in, because I'm starting to include all their backstory, all of their triumphs and tragedies, and I'm starting to kind of push into those realms. The other aspect I do for mid games is the personal relics. Now, some GMs are going to crucify me on this. Some may not. Some may applaud me. I don't know. That's for them to decide. But at the beginning of the game, I figure out what kind of style of character they're playing, what kind of weapons they use, armor, equipment, whatnot, and I start conceptualizing from game section 8 or 9, maybe around levels 4 or 5. I start conceptualizing the artifact item that they are going to receive as a godly gift, or as a you were stepping out of mid game into end game when you receive this item. And typically it's a quest chain for each player individually. Like the fighter's like, hey, I'm going to go after this quest item. And that quest item is this, big fuck off sword, that takes 20 hands to wield, but I've got so many feats and I'm so stacked I can wield it in one. Or the wizard who's like, I want the Deme Lich's personal spell book. Okay, you're going to the Tomb of Horrors to face a Sararak. Why? Because it's the most famous lich.
Make sure to pick the right entrance, because it could go really bad.
Oh yes. So those are really the mid game is where a lot of things happen. And a lot of players, like I said, it's not necessarily about the player retention, because I've got players who want to come back every week, even if it is just a Slaughterfest or Monster of the Week. There are those players out there. But then you have those players who go, hey, I really have this personal goal for this character, and I want to see it done. And I go, that's awesome. Let's do it. And that's where the mid game to me really takes off, is those personal goals. So if you're taking good notes as a GM, based on what your players have done and what your players want to do, and you're comparing your notes from what they've done to what you want to do, and you see where they tie together at, and you start tying these threads together in knots, and you just make this huge spider web of plot for them to explore within. Everything is connected in some way. Some things may not be connected directly. You might have 6 degrees of separation. That's again, where everything starts to take off. So that's how I keep my players invested, is I give them those really big goals to go after. So I'm just looking through the comments real quick.
I'm thinking about that. I've been in a couple of your campaigns. I've been in a couple of Bruce's campaigns. In mid-level, I mean, I fall into the same trap with most of the campaigns. I'll play an archer. I don't feel comfortable being a spellcaster. It's either going to be melee or range. Me as a person, as much as I would like to play Harry Dresden, I'd probably play Count Dracula, not Count Dracula. Just pick some dumb wizard from some bad movie who doesn't know what the hell he's doing. So I stick with what I know, and I think, I think starting to customize not so much the world or the campaign, but giving them, hey, there is a brass ring not that far out of reach with the next couple levels. You just have to put A to B to C to get to it. We'll keep asses in seats. It will not keep them motivated to keep concentrating on the game because Jade plays a very intelligent campaign. And if you mess up because you do something dumb, you're going to pay for it, not get what you want at the end of the day. You have to pay attention to the world around you. And I'm not trying to blow up his ego or anything because I will pop it 5 seconds later. Oh, give me time.
It may not even come to fruition within the next 10 sessions. It might chase you down, 20, 30 sessions later. The
Right.
one thing you're like, oh yeah, I screwed that king over. Yeah, it's fine. He won't, hold a grudge. No, 30 sessions later. Hey, remember that king you screwed over? Oh, fuck.
Now, on a separate note, this did not come from Bruce's or Jade's campaign. If you're thinking about making a set of magical items that your characters start getting, each of them gets a set of, don't make the last one a vorpal arrow that does jack freaking shit at the end of the day. No one will appreciate it. And the chances of you rolling 2 20s back to back, well, we're not all Bruce. You can roll 3 d20s on film, damn it.
1 in 400.
It's called pre-gaming.
It was also on 3 different die. Remember that. He not only rolled it, he rolled it on 3 different dice. And guys, if you want to see that, just you have to go digging a little bit back in the archive. About 10 years. About 10 years back.
The best part about that was the session before fucking dumbass said, "I cannot die."
3 net 20s with a giant pick.
It's just there's certain things as a DM that you need to keep in mind of, especially if it's going to be a 1 through 20. Hell, even a 1 through 10, make sure the end game is worth the middle game. Because if the story goes flat because you didn't pay attention to what your players had to say mid-level, mid-range, your players are not going to come back next session. They'll find other people. Dice do travel. So do books, so do laptops, and so does G-Rock for several days a week, apparently, for the last month. But that's besides the point.
10 weeks.
So, Kai, you had something you wanted to say?
I will admit I know that many of us have said you have to be careful or we'll hit you and all this stuff. I will admit on the rare occasions when I'm actually allowed to play, there is a certain part of me that is the entropy lover that loves chaos, that I will set up a perfect system. It'll be running beautifully, and I will purposely knock something out of whack just to watch how everyone else reacts to it. Not like one of those, I purposely stab somebody in the back, but it's one of those, you know what? I'm going to make sure that everything that nothing works perfectly. We've been having too good of luck lately. Fellow players, we have been too successful, too good. The GM is going to punch us really hard, really soon. So we should probably screw up just to make sure we don't get punched harder. And most of my players will look at me and go, most of my fellow players will look at me and go, what kind of crack are you smoking? And I'm going, I'm a GM. Trust me, it's coming. And the GM is looking at me like going, don't tell them our secrets. You're part of the order. You're not supposed to tell them what's coming. And I'm like, I'm trying to minimize it. I'm sorry. We don't appreciate and approve of your actions. I'm like, good, because I want them to hurt.
Wait. We're in order? I didn't get my security coder ring. What the hell? Where's my ring?
You haven't been GMing long enough.
Yeah, you missed the first meeting.
At which point that you have successfully passed all your trials to become a proper GM, you will be handed the Secret Order of the GMing manual, which It doesn't exist. Don't ask about it. In fact, forget I even said that.
It's like Fight Club. It's
I know.
DM Club. Really quick before we go next, I have to show off something that my daughter just did. I'm having a proud daddy moment, and it is D&D related. Well, sort of. Painting figs is something that a lot of gamers like to do across the board. Bruce is doing it right now. I'm doing it right now.
I'm not doing it as much as I should be. I was answering an email.
But for those who like anime, will you blow me up really? Blow up my screen really quick. God, I hate asking that question. For anybody who knows what this is, it's a roto, whatever. It's from anime.
Totoro.
What,
My neighbor Totoro.
My daughter just got done painting this.
Nice.
Nice.
And I mean, she even got the butt. So I think it's really good. And I will definitely keep telling her to keep painting because pretty soon she'll start painting my figs and my figs will go from crap to looking good. All right, I'm done.
So now I saw something come up in chat about puzzles, and I'm not exactly sure where the topic started, but about never making a puzzle that you can't just roll a skill check to get out of. I'm going to agree and disagree with that. Now I don't know about the rest of the panel here, but for me, my puzzles when I do take the time to make a puzzle for my game. It's not something a simple skill check can always beat. And the reason is because it's tied to the world in some way.
Oh, God.
It's a teaching moment for the lore of the world or, some of the mechanisms within the world. And if players have been paying attention, they don't need a skill check. They have, especially if they've been taking notes. They'll look at the puzzle and be like, oh, hey, this is that thing that we talked about or had something happen with like 8 months ago. Why is it coming up again? Well, that's because my worlds are kind of this big, working machine. And if you've been paying attention, what the puzzle pieces are. What goes where and how it all starts to fit together. You may not have a huge or big picture of it all, but you're starting to get the concept of
it. When your DM hands out slips of papers with the riddle on it, and he'll sits back in his chair and just looks at the entire party and is like, well, that guy's an idiot. He's not going to get it. I don't know about the cigar DM, and got 3 other people. One of them is a brilliant guy. His name is James. I'm thinking James might get it. So yeah, no, puzzles and riddles and games are a great thing. And I don't use them. And not that I don't think my players are smart. I'm just not comfortable with them. I love the riddle from I'm not going to do the whole thing because I have used it though. The riddle from Game of Thrones. There's 3. There's a cleric. There's a king and somebody else, and they ask to sell sword. Kill each other. Which one does sell sword? I'm not getting into it. I'll explain to it later, Jade. That's the only riddle I will ever use, only because I understand
it's the 3 doors. The knave. Was it the liar, the knave, and the.
No, it's the king, the priest, and the rich man.
Yeah, it's a variation of the 3 doors. Yeah,
and I get that one. So,
actually, this is a good topic. Jumping off topic. Let's go around the panel. Do you use puzzles? How do you use them? And how do you tie them into your story or world? I'm going to start with you, Kai.
Puzzles.
Okay, puzzles or some kind of you have to use your brain to figure out a way out instead of brute force.
Yes. No. Yes, but actually no. Because I've run over the years that my players. Well, first off, I'm terrible at actual riddles. You could give me some simple riddle, and I'll just be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Can you draw it out for me and put it in picture form and allow me to, see the exploded diagram of it, and you might be able to figure it out then. That's not it. Could you explain to me all the components of this riddle in detailed format and tell me how they tie into various lores and logics? It's a riddle. I'm trying to figure out the mathematical equation for this. Can you explain? It's a fucking riddle. And here's me. I don't know. And because I'm terrible at riddles, I can't write a good riddle to save my life. And my puzzles, see previous example. My puzzles it's very logical. Have you not figured out this? I will draw for it, like I will write for you. You see I have 4 levers. You see a number of things. It's a binary equation. All you gotta do is figure out, and all the rest of the entire wiring diagram that actually tells you what logical equation equals not dying is actually written on the room. You just gotta be able to dissect this, or actually you just need to be able to figure out how to set the gear ratio into the right, set into the right gear for the planar gear system to kick into place to save you from the room collapsing. And most people go, I don't understand mechanical or electrical engineering. So I'm lost, and here's me going, that's all the puzzles I can do. If it's not electronics or mechanical, I don't know what to do. If it's not design a battleship and give me a whole form equation, I don't know what to do. Can you build a wing that flies? I don't know. Solve. MacGyver is about where I draw the line on being able to problem solve. But
it's all right, Kai. The thing is that if I were you, I would play to your strengths, and I would run a campaign with you, or I would hope you'd run a campaign like Elder Scrolls, where you find all these old dwarven ruins, but you have no idea how to get in there. You got to figure out the machinery to open the gates and to lift the hydraulics to get the bladders to inflate, and or there's some such like that. And I would make it. Go ahead, Rube Goldberg the shit out of it.
See, that's what my puzzles are. That's my puzzle solving. That's my thing. But the thing is like, oh God, if you give me one of those weird, birdie bee bear thing, wordy thing that I'm not following, and my autistic brain goes, boo, carrier wave. And that's my problem. And when GM's trying to do it, all you're going to do is just get the 2 a.m. carrier wave coming off of the television set. Blade, are you following? No.
And that's okay. Not everyone is, built the same or thinks the same or, takes notes the same. Baron, what about you? Do you use puzzles or any type of mechanics in the game where if players paying attention, they can solve something?
Usually when I'm doing stuff like that, it is more in their dealings with the NPCs, to the point of sometimes the NPCs are telling them more than what they're actually telling them, which I find that especially when you see that they finally understand it and they get that aha moment, and then they just look at you, and then you go, then all you see in the mouth is, you bastard. That is like the greatest thing ever, when they have that aha moment and they're like, son of a and bastard, and then they start looking at each other, and then the one that finally figured it out explains to the rest, and then they all look at you and go, really?
Yes.
Really? I go, yes. Excellent. That's the way that I typically do that.
And that's still a kind of puzzle element, even interacting with NPCs. NPCs might have the answers to things, and they might have certain piece of information to move a story element or a plot element along. And it's up to the player characters or the players to interact with those NPCs. And that's kind of a puzzle. It's a role play puzzle more so than a mechanical puzzle. But it's still a puzzle in a way. It's like, oh, hey, this NPC might know something. How do I get the information out of them? And it's not necessarily always like, a skill check. Sometimes it's actually interactive play. Cigar Jam, you've got something you want to add?
I was going to actually ask if I can go next so I can keep what I have in my mind. I don't mean to skip over yours.
Go for it.
I have two types of puzzles. I have oh God, please, I had the name of it. It's the door one. It's not the knave, that one. It's the starts with an M. There's a game theory with the name on it. Anyway, it starts with an M. Anyways, you got 3 doors in front of you. The DM opens up one door. It tells you to choose one of the 3 doors. The Monty door puzzle.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like using that one because, Monty Hall. Because a lot of the gamers today don't remember The Price is Right. And shows that were very much puzzles that you had to get through. And even the Monty Hall door puzzle is a great one, especially in D&D. They show you have to pick 3 doors. One door opens and there's nothing behind it. Do you move to another door? Well, one door has the sword you want, and the other door has a spear of annihilation, as you can see in Tombs of Horror. So that's the first one I like. I appreciate that immensely. The second one is, I think it's very situational. You come across a door that has it's a door that has a like your locker at your school. You have to punch in the right number. And this one was done in it's a 5e game where you end up going to hell, and there's a word on it that says 6 goblins go into 6 different ways to pick up 6 different items. What's the code for the door? And everybody's like ... No, it can't be this, and you only have two choices or something bad will happen. And the puzzle's so on the nose. Wait, I'm in hell. 6 ta-ta, and it's so on the nose, but people like to overthink things, and those are overthinking stupid simple riddles, even if they're logical riddles like Kai likes. Oh, you know how you stop the wall closing on you? Well, you have a character that shouldn't really have it, but all characters used to buy them in 3.5 days. An immovable rod. Cheat the system. Cheating is always a good answer.
If you aren't cheating, you are fine.
Right. I mean, so those were my 2 ones. And if it doesn't work, I agree with Kai. MacGyver the hell out of the situation.
All right. Dirk Hardpeck, you wanted to add something into this?
Actually, these guys have covered it pretty well. I was going to say something, and Cigar DM had to get his urgent in, and I'm like, you know what? Let's button that one. That was good.
Okay.
Here's a riddle for you. What do you say after Kai says it all?
Shut the fuck up.
Nothing. We move on.
Next question. The thing is that with the puzzles and riddles and lore and all that, you have to have a table that's willing to accept these. If your players' heads are bowed and they're in Facebook or Twitter or Candy Crush Saga, you've probably messed up as a GM. You've made the game too boring or too passé, or you've not engaged them properly, and you're a
bunch of murder hobos.
Yeah, you might have the wrong table for that, and nothing's wrong with that. I mean, if you're running a 2nd edition game, Shadzars with the murder hobos, and no, I've got to rip off every console and every speaker, and I don't want to hear about plot. I just want to Doom 2016 my way through everything. I need catharsis. Give me bad guys. Clicky, clicky, clicky. Kill it. Spam the trigger. I'm going to kill it all.
Rip and tear, motherfuckers. Rip and tear.
I guess I have one more to add to this. Now, this is for the DM. This is for the other DMs at the table. I know Baron G. Rock has stepped away, I believe. But here's a question for you. No? All right. You said a riddle. And 10 to 1 as a DM, you kind of know where everybody's stats are, at least on intelligence. You've looked at their character sheets enough. You made notes because that's what good DMs do. They make notes, right, Kai? Yes, Kai's going to say yes. Now, if you got 2 players at the table with a 6 fucking intelligence because they want to be Murder McHobo Beefy Pants, but they get the fucking riddle, do you penalize them because they got the riddle, not their character? Or do you just let it slide?
Metagame. I think metagaming is a topic for another night.
But this question goes with this question. Because we're talking about riddles.
It does.
I think if the player knows the solution, but say he's playing one of Blaine's barbarians, and he's just enjoying the shit out of being a murder hobo, and like, go ahead. There was a player that's at the table. I'm having a 17 intelligence wizard, but I cannot mentally rub 2 nickels together. I can't make it happen in my head. I can't hear the clinking. And so you look at your player that's trying not to blurt it out because he's Thag of Thagamizer's will. He's the grandson of Thag, the Thagamizer, the Stegosaurus, hit him in the head, his grandpappy, and now he's out for blood. So Blaine's like, I got to answer this, but I can't do it as Thag. But you have a fucking wizard in the party. You go talk to him over there off camera and come back in about 2 minutes because his character would know. Him, the player, I'm not going to penalize for him not knowing, but his character would.
I can also give an intake on this one. As somebody who's happily played the very low intelligence characters and the players who are supposed to be smarter than me in character fumble about, I will happily. But this might be again me loving entropy and destruction way too much. I will let them fail. I will let them fail because I'm playing an intelligence 8 barbarian. I'm lucky I figured out how to put clothes on today. And my breakfast was cooked.
I don't think it's that you would forget how to put on clothes. I think it's the fact that you just wouldn't care.
Right.
You're like, it's Thursday.
I remember to put on clean clothes today that are matching. I'm doing good.
Wait, really quick. I'm colorblind and I'm very intelligent. My clothes don't always match.
But now, occasionally, if I'm watching somebody fail, and I do enjoy watching failure happen because that's actually where most of the fun happens, is when you fail. Always succeeding is never fun. Sure.
See my rant earlier on Rey Palpatine Skywalker.
Right. Sometimes the hyperdrive has to break. Sometimes we just don't open the door and we have to resort to battering ram to get past it. And we suck the trap damage because sometimes that's just what you got to do. But occasionally, if that player who is rolling who has the 14, 15, 18 intelligence goes, shit. And I wait for them to make the important phrase of, hey, does anyone got an idea out of character? And that's when I go, hey, I've already figured it out. I, as the player, have figured it out. But I'm not going to tell you the answer because I don't want to tell you the answer. I don't want you to succeed. But what I will do is begin to spell out all the clues that they have missed up to that point. Because in my horrible, horrible ability to take notes. I've already got all the notes. I know all the pieces. I figured it out because I'm an autistic retard and I fucking do this shit for fun. And so when I spell out all the parts and then the player and I lay it all out for him, I don't tell him the solution, but I've shown you all the steps. If you can't figure it out, well, I'm sorry. I'm not telling you the solution. I'm going to sit back and go, but Thunknor is ready to go. Whatever you say, boss, we're going to take care of it. And watch you push them to the parapet, and if they jump, you jump after because they're leader. But if they go, I don't know what to do, and the entire table goes, we haven't figured it out. Hey, Blaine, what's your solution? I don't have one. I'm intelligence 6, 7. I'm not smart. Blaine, you're smarter than that. No, Thunknor is not smart. Thunknor can't figure this out. Thunknor failed his intelligence check. Thunknor failed his wisdom check.
No, Oopla failed his wisdom check.
Everyone failed it. I not see shit, Cap.
And the one thing with that is that I love it when they figure where everyone's sitting there going, oh my god, and we've all seen in movies where the dumbest person just goes, it's red.
It's red.
Yeah, and it's like that's the answer, and and then everyone's looking at him like, what? Because that can be a fun moment also.
And that is, there is a certain point, but you just can't be the one who sits there and points them to the actual reason. So when Thunknor the Barbarian walks over to the hyperdrive and go, percussive maintenance is solution to problem. Thwack! And
Russian components, American components, bam, 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 all made in Taiwan.
I know, right? All made in China. Sometimes percussive maintenance works, but not always. And it shouldn't be that. But it is fun when you just gotta play it up. But yeah, no, I do very much enjoy watching players fail. Even when
there is a player or a DM, Mike M. out of Peoria, that he ran a really good dungeon campaign. Yeah, go ahead and laugh about this. The players died because they went into a dwarven citadel and they were wanting to plummet secrets, but they were more of the banditry-minded people. And it was a Middle-earth role-playing game.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. And all of the puzzles were mathematically based. And he was running with a campaign that required 2 of his 9 players. He's really skilled. 2 of his 9 players had to be there throughout the Citadel. And one of them was not. And the other one had a bad run of dice one night while the other player was out on the town or had a family emergency, whatever. And the party died. DED. They're gone. TPK. And what happened was they made it to a room that they were at some controls. And instead of them getting access to go further in, instead they triggered a trap which started to flood the room. Hey, Eddie. And when they flooded the room, nobody could figure out how to vent the water, how to get it and how to pump it out. The party died. And I admired Mike so much because he ran games that were on hardcore mode. If you wanted to play in Middle Earth and you didn't know much about Tolkien except for the Peter Jackson films, hey, you better play a Wildling because that's about all you are expected to be. If you wanted to play a human character from Rohirrim, he gave you a test. If you wanted to play an elf, he gave you 2 tests. You might make it as a wood elf. Nobody ever made it to the high elf because nobody knew the Cimmerillion backwards and forwards like he did.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
What I love about Tolkien
He was a scholar, and he was running games, and he took his game about as seriously as Shauner takes Traveler.
Oh, good.
Wow.
Yes,
Now,
it made me proud to know him, and I would love to have him on speed dial nowadays.
And he's always busy. You know that.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Now that I know exactly which Mike, there's 2 Mike M's I knew, and I'm like, he can't tell you about the horrible one. You know the good one. Got it.
Now, I was speaking of token. I love in the Lord of the Rings where Gandalf and the Fellowship. This is the first one, Fellowship of the Ring, are sitting outside of Mordor, not Mordor, Khazad-dûm, and the door to open it was a word in Elven.
That mine's Moria.
Moria. Well, it turns into Khazad-dûm, but anyways. And Gandalf, being the wizard who knows everything and seeing everything, is freaking puzzling at the door.
Except when you read the book. When you read the book, you realize it's Legolas. Legolas has a lot of the lore because he's been around for hundreds of years.
I'm just going with the movie. I figured to go with what everybody's at least seen once. And it's The Hobbit. Of all people, it's The Hobbit. Isn't it, friend? The Gandalf looks at him with pride and joy. He's like, I'm such a fucking idiot. Friend, door opens.
Well, I'm going to address chat here. Omanal says, other rule is players come up with a good, reasonable guess that makes sense, but not the way I would solve it. They succeed. Yeah, so as far as puzzles go, I might have, a solution in mind. If they get close, they get it. I'm not going to hold them back on it. I'm never going to hold up a game strictly for the fact that my players can't solve a puzzle. Like, I might let them have 20, 30 minutes. Like, I have hourglass timers now. And I'm going to be using those hourglass timers to, kind of gauge how much time things take. If I think a puzzle should take 10 minutes at most for them to come up with a solution, I'll set the 10-minute timer. And, if they haven't come to the solution, I'll say, okay, time's up. Give me your best guess. And if they, if they're completely off the mark. Now, I have at that point done everything I can to give clues via either drawing it on the map, giving clues via, descriptions of things. I've given them everything they need to know, and if they've been paying attention, they should be able to solve the puzzle or the have the answer, within those 10 minutes if they just think about it. If they're really paying attention. But if, as long as they get close, that's the answer. I don't care. We're moving on. If they are way off the mark, trap triggers or the bad stuff happens. And I already, I should already know what the bad stuff is. I'm not going to hold the game up an hour to 3 hours because they can't solve the puzzle. That's not a good time for anyone. And it's really, you have to gauge the players too. If the players are just not into it for that night, like let's say everyone's just had a, absolute shit fest of a day at work
or week,
and they're just, or week, they're just not into it. You skip the puzzle, you move on with the night. That's where it's like, all right, you know what? This is just gonna be a die roll. It's solved. Let's move on. So yeah, that's kind of puzzles and games. Kind of a little off topic there for the night, but
I'm sorry.
Fine. No, I don't know where the topic got interjected out.
I jumped it into what if the players know it, but the characters are too dumb to know it, is where I jumped in.
Well, no, I mean, even further back than that, I think it started like almost 40, 50 minutes ago. The chat was starting to go into puzzles and such, and I'm like, all right, let's touch on that real quick.
Okay.
So tonight's been mostly about the mid-game levels, how to, as a GM. Huh?
And the things we do to our players.
And the things we do to our players. And it's mostly been like, how do we keep our players interested? How do we, what kind of things do we present to our players during the mid-levels? What do we consider the mid-levels? Those have all been, the main topics of the evening. So I think we're coming up on the 2-hour mark. Are we considering continuing forward? It's only 9:30 Central Time, or are we going to be calling it here?
I'm good for about another half hour before I have to start orbiting a pillow. But if you guys are needing to go ahead, and you can sign off after you've declared what you are going to be doing here in the interim. We're at the cusp of the weekend, and I want those of you that are able to enjoy it to enjoy it.
There is no joy. There's only work and moving boxes. That is all there is in life.
Hey, Travis.
I got one more we can add into middle area that we kind of didn't really. We talked about it, but we didn't really cover it per se.
All right, let's get into the weeds.
Right.
Go for it.
Items.
Ooh.
Now we are talking mid-level item. No one should be out there with a Holy Avenger. But
hold up. Back in the old days, back in my days, second edition, you could be a 7th level paladin, and that would be about the same time where you would start to go on your quest to find your Holy Avenger.
Yep.
And 7th level for most of us sits right in that bosom, right in the motorboat range of where you want to have the middle levels.
Yeah.
Wow, that's the. I never played second edition. I always thought second edition really it wrapped up roughly around 10 to 15th level.
More likely 10 to 12, but yeah, you're right. It was a very low level game.
The experience tables were different then.
Level 36.
Very different.
But
very old.
You didn't need to. Shauner's like, you're pulling swords out of boulders.
Yeah.
Hey.
Go ahead.
The mid-level, I won't lie. There's a certain part of me that always enjoys throwing one stupid, something that's just way more, because let's be honest, what movie, what book have you read that does not have somebody finding something way overpowered, way stupid? And I mean, just what the fuck? There was
a book called Aragon, and I read the first 2 chapters and I quit.
I know, but so there you are, you're all having fun, and then suddenly it's like, bam, what's this thing? And then the party goes, well, this might be, and now you get to see how the party interacts with one really good item, one amazing item. Not the sword that isn't a sword yet, not Excalibur, but you throw them something way out of their depth, something that's just more amazing than what we're a bunch of 6th level doofuses all sitting here, with our +1 swords, and you just throw something cool at them, something big, and see how it lights up their lives, or if it doesn't even resonate at all. And then you kind of go, you watch the splash and the ripples, and you see how the party moves with that. Wait a moment, that was something amazing. Yeah, it was. It's that 7th level character who's running around with a purple item, and you're like, oh, that guy's awesome. And now the party has smelled blood in the water, and now they're hunting for theirs, because they know that you're going to give them something too, because you're not an unfair GM who plays favorites, are you?
Whoops.
So, and if you're not playing favorites, you're going to lose a table real fast. So it's this game of, hey, something amazing, and that one player's got it. You all want something cool too, right? Yeah, I would. All right. And they all start talking, and now you start listening, because that first item that was amazing, that wasn't geared for anybody. But now as they're all talking amongst themselves, you can sit back and go, I now understand what you all want, and now I've cheated because you've told me what you want, and now I can start tailoring, going, you know what? What you want is a little overpowered and broken and nasty, and that's not fair. But here's something similar. It's not what you wanted, but it's really close. And again, it all comes down to manipulate your poor players into making them think that they're actually that they're not doing your homework for you. And because honestly, if you're not skating through this shit, just let them do all the work. And all you're doing is going, that's fucking brilliant. Okay.
Oh yes, the players are their own worst enemy.
Well,
Man,
they do the homework for you.
and
A
that
lot of
enemy is
players will.
that enemy I forgot. You think it does that? Okay. That item sounds okay. And now you start just throwing cool items at them. Or you go, man, I want the party to all be able to infiltrate in a few levels. I'm going to start sprinkling a few items into them. Or unless the party goes, we are breaking into the magical police department's storeroom. What? And we're stealing everything. You mean all the evidence, all the confiscated items.
Okay, Blaine, or excuse me, Kai. My favorite part of Tolus was in the middle of adventures. Drink, everybody. Tolus had an adventure called the Bane Warrens.
Yeah.
And the Bane Warrens is a adventure where the players are seeing some really weird stuff happen midday in town square, basically, where like one orc starts shooting magic missiles out of his eyes, a lady starts to levitate, and she starts to scream because she's going higher and higher. She's not used to this. And there's somebody walking around the community that he's activating latent magical abilities. And so once the players figure that out and make him either go to sleep or knock him out or kill him, they have an opportunity to figure out what's going on. And if they do their police work right, they find out that there is a excavation going on under the city being done by some people that have a beholder on hire. And they're using it to disintegrate.
Oh,
Fuck. And inside this vault is a bunch of higher level magic items. Higher level magic items are pretty neat. And this campaign kind of assumes that you're goodish characters. So you'll return them when you're done. But if you're a evil party, the rewards are what you find. The spoils reveal themselves pretty quickly. And it's just one of those really great games where you get to discover more about the city. And I'll even throw the spoiler in there. It's a Monty Cook dungeon at the very end. And at the very end, your 5 players or so are driving a magical steampunk mech into town. And a rather huge demon who is tasked with guarding one portal. And he's actually held to his promise for the most part. He's at one portal. But your avenue that you're able to go only goes towards the demon and then out into daylight. The demon sees you driving this thing. He's like, I should have gotten rid of this years ago. And you have a huge slog down with this thing. By the way, if he manages to cripple the mech, you're all probably toast. Because you're only like 12th level. You're very squishy to him. But with the mech, you're about a CR 15, CR 16. You're pretty cool. So, the Bane Warrens, if you guys are dungeon masters out there, it's a PDF for 3.0. I recommend you hunt it down and you make it yours. It is great. Go ahead, guys.
Well, see, the one thing you talk about that one overpowered item.
It's not that overpowered.
Well,
really.
No. I'm going back to what Kai was saying.
Uh-oh.
So yes, you give them this beautiful overpowered, and they're using it more and more, and then it starts talking to them. It starts telling them things. But it may be an intelligence sword. It might be trying to take them over. For its own,
about ready to go there. I really was just about ready to go there.
Yeah, that's always fun to do too.
Well, if you're,
I will say that there is a bastard that did that to me once.
Not me. I am a bastard, but it wasn't me.
I'm not one to point fingers, but
You mean that guy? No, wait.
Yeah.
That guy.
Yeah.
what did I do?
Yeah. The peck did that.
He would never.
Oh yeah. And don't look too there.
And I got turned into a bunny.
No, going. All right. I thought about this a few minutes ago, and items came pop in my head. But there was an item that was put on a former spouse of mine that I thought was great for any level, and I used it. I've stole it for a trap. I have absolutely stole it. The belt of ginger swap.
I mean,
and it's a cursed
we're
item.
Talking about mid-game stuff now. Talking about
that was
items.
mid-game. That was mid-game. She was 12th level. Now, when I think of loot for 12th level, I think of the basic magical tools. Maybe depends on what system you run. I'm going to go with Pathfinder and 3.5 because a lot of these don't exist in 5e, unfortunately. The Amulet of Natural Armor +2 does not exist in 5e. Okay. I always thought it was an interesting thing. Now, I don't like the stack wars. I'm guilty of playing the stack wars. Well, I'll get bracers of protection +2. That number goes there, plus natural armor. That's a +2. That's a 4 +10 plus dex. Okay, now what else can I put onto the pile? But you got the cloak, elven cloak. You got the elven boots. You got the amulet of natural armor. You have your +1 weapons. I want to say a bag of holding is roughly in that era as well. Mid-game loot. Handy haversack. Okay, it depends. I'm the type of DM that does do magic shops. I will have a magic shop, and I know a few of you DMs don't like that. That's fine. I mean, to each their own. But if they're in a major metropolis in Pathfinder or in Faerun, being Waterdeep, there's a chance that there's a magic shop because that's high magic. And if you're sitting at if you're sitting at mid-level,
7th, 8th, 10th.
8th, 10th, yeah. Sorry, I want this. Well, that fits into, what did you say, Kai? The purple zone, the legendary weapons. Do you have this? Well, let me see my tome of shit that I've stolen, bought, or otherwise. Roll me a D10 minus 30, high or low. Nope. Sorry, don't have it because it is not in your range, and I don't want to deal with that nonsense.
Part of me wants to go, no, I don't want you to have it, no fun allowed. But the other part of me is the deep down evil Ferengi player in me goes, yeah, I know somebody who's got that, and I can send you in that direction.
Well, that falls under Rule 35 and 36. My 30s might be off. That's either war is good for business or peace is good for business logic from the Ferengi point of view.
Right.
No. My favorite one is always never sleep with the boss's wife, always sleep with the boss.
That's a rule like in the high 70s, I think.
But
I've got the complete book somewhere.
Damn you, Jade, for getting me into Star Trek more than I ever wanted to be.
Yes.
The rules of acquisition.
Deep down as a player and a GM, if you aren't like at some subconscious level functioning as a Ferengi, whenever the player goes, we're going to the merchant's hall. If you're not thinking like a Ferengi, you're not doing your GMing job right. You're just insulting your players because they're just going to go in there and they're like, oh, hello. Welcome to my boutique shop where we sell all the +1 and all the magical items that you would ever possibly want. Meanwhile, you go to think of it more like you go to a pawn shop and it's like, what do you want? I want this. Maybe. You got gold?
This is why I like the Magical Mafia of Tolis drink. Magical Mafia of Tolis. If you have said coin, You go down to Old School Street and you find the funky shaped wizard's shop. And you go in there and it's a bar, kind of, really, with a bar and people, they're sitting there talking about things. But there's a man at the end of the bar that looks like a second edition Grand Wizard with a purple robe with little yellow insignias of moons and star constellations. And he's just got first edition wizard written all over him.
Oh, airbrushed wizard shit?
Yeah. And he says, I can help you if you're looking for something in particular. And you're like, great, I need this item. And he's like, do you have the money? Yes, I have it with me. Don't pay me. Here's a token. And he gives you a wooden nickel. Take this and keep it on your person tonight when you sleep. We will discuss things in a dream. And you go back to your inn room and you will have a few beers. You're like, this can't be right. And you lay down. And sure enough, in the middle of your dreams or in the middle of your sleep, you get shoved into a dream and this wagon pulls up and these people say to you, you've hired the dreaming apothecary to bring you a weapon or an item of note. We have got it. Do you have the money? It should be where my body's sleeping. Okay, here's your item. And they give it to you in your dream. You wake up, you've got the item, your gold is gone. Now the dreaming apothecary runs the magical mafia in Tolis. And if you are making brand new items and selling them to people, you wake up without your legs. You wake up without your spellcasting hand. You're done. They chop you up in your sleep. Don't you dare go to bed and Tolis if you're selling magic items, because they've got to run on the nighty nights. Okay. You'd be like, I've got a Leoman's tiny hut, or I've got the magnificent mansion. Nobody can invade this. Oh, you got to sleep sometime.
Oh my!
So I'm just saying that fixes the magical shops.
Oh, sweet magical child, you're so innocent. I have no legs. I know.
I personally, and I got this trick from Jade because I thought it was cool, and I definitely kidnapped it. I like to have my character at some point have dust of dryness, because you never know. This goes back to traps too. You never know. Or
get attacked by a water elemental.
Two copper
what you're talking about.
I have no idea.
2 gold copper, two piece copper piece crowbar, because sometimes you just don't want to bend your sword.
I don't know what you're talking about. Dust of dryness.
Dust of dryness is awesome. I've used it. I've used it in Bruce's campaign a few times too. And Beckman said he's thinking, "Fuck, he's gamed with Jade." You know.
There's a reason why I love God's master key, also as the crowbar. It's like we can't take the clock.
I have a token, Featherfall token, but it's really the boat token that I'm going to whip out and beat somebody with it. The coin? No, the boat. Wait, what?
I would never.
I like the tree. I always like the tree token because you always ready it. Then the Minotaur charges at you, and as a reaction, you throw it. It goes right up in front of the boom.
Now the tree, I was about ready to get eaten by the purple worm. This was after I moved down to Charles. Purple worm. What was I gaming with? Was this with you?
This is when you were gaming with me and Bruce and all them.
Yeah, I'm about to get eaten by a purple worm. I'm like, what can I do? Well, you can do all light weapons or light items. Fucking tree. And it's like, woo, I win. Or Alchemist Fire, when you're getting eaten, about ready to get eaten by the angry tree vagina face. Pour that down.
You play a rogue monk, and you sleight of hand the Qual's feather token of tree into someone's mouth, and then as part of your flurry of blows, and then you take your next action to punch them in the mouth, and it breaks the coin and activates it, and then suddenly there's a tree inside them, or through them.
Now, all these items I just talked about, all these items are low-level items that
they're
players,
cheap. They're really cheap.
Players should keep in mind for. And if a DM is worth his salt, he should allow them, because you should allow creativity from your players.
While they are low-level items, remember, your low-level players are kept dirt fucking hobo poor. So they're not going to be able to buy and have a whole stockpile.
I don't like keeping my players super poor, though, because I want them to be able to level. And so my new games I'll be running after this campaign, you have to pay for training.
Now, but next level is that point where you finally have some discretionary funds. And that's when you start seeing the players start loading up on magical tokens, loading up on dust. You're going to start seeing loading up on finally having when they're finally going, do I use this healing potion because I only have one? This is a critical moment, but is it really critical enough? Can I survive this? I might. Meanwhile, at mid-level, you're like, all right, put the bandolier on. I'm ready for this shit. Did you just spend all that money? You better believe it. Or you just have that one point where the players all kind of look at the sacrificial dwarf and you're like, you're too slow. I know. Load me up. And then the party starts pulling out all their alchemist fire and just wrapping him around in all of it and going, the monster's going to eat you. You know that. I know. Go, make him pay for it. I'm going to. And we keep running, and the dwarf just falls behind doing the rear guard action. And then he explodes in a fireball that we all feel the shockwave of at about half a mile away. And we're like,
No. See, you don't even have to do that. You just put 2 necklace of fireballs on him and let him get eaten.
Yeah, but the necklace of fireball is a high-level item. We're poor.
No.
Yeah, beads of forest, pearl, fireball. Those are like a couple thousand.
5K.
Yeah.
5K.
But with 5K for one necklace of fireball, I could buy a whole semi-truck, a dump truck full of alchemist fire. And we're going to wrap that dwarf, who's just too slow to carry, in as so much that he's encumbered. And he's going to come waddling as fast as he can forward, make it look good. And that monster that we're running away from, he's going to run up there. And like I said, I want to be able to see the explosion over the horizon. And I want to see the mushroom cloud and be able to go, that was a beautiful moment. He died expensively.
You tape it to him with that geese tape, because they don't have duct tape. It's all geese tape. And then you shake him up a little bit and you say, go on, little man. And then he turns around and says, don't tell the elf, as he goes trudging.
At mid-level, I'm used to carrying like all sorts of like really knick-knacky shit. Like I'm carrying 10 doses of dusted dryness. Half of them are actually like full up with 100 gallons of water each. I'm carrying like a immovable rod. I'm carrying a rod that I can turn into a ladder at a moment's notice. At mid levels, players are carrying around either a bunch of shit that they really have no use for at that level because it's worn out or it's no longer useful, and they're just hoarders, or they're carrying around like super knick-knacky things that are very situational, like dryness.
But you never know. Really quick, you never know when that situation's going to happen. Lower level, that guy
I might be on a.
Really quick on that Jade's campaign right there. I bought globes of daylight, 5-6 levels, and they were just in my bag. I don't know why I bought them. I think we were about ready to go buy a vampire, and I never had a chance to use them, but they were in my bag. And we're about ready to get our asses handed to us by a bunch of shadows. I'm like, wait, what are shadows? I look at the cleric. Or no, the monk, because it was James.
Yeah, it was some kind of undead that was weak to sunlight, but it wasn't vampires. It was another one.
Right.
It might have been wraiths.
And I go through my notes because you keep notes, right, Kai?
Yeah, of course you do.
Right.
Of course.
And I'm like, hey, Mr. DM, I throw one of these at the shadow. He's like, what is it? I pull to the page because I have the page number next to it. This. He's like, let me see your notes. Here. Fuck off, Connell. Boom.
Yeah.
We had a Blade 2 moment.
We have it's like now. I just enjoy I just enjoy the fact that most of my players like playing alchemists. They like making alchemical items. So there is always some amount of explosives in every single one of my groups. Be it fire, ice, lightning. You fill in the elemental flavor. They've got it because you get them, and they will go out like what are you guys doing in your downtime? And I'll have more than like one player going. We're going out in the woods and we're just hunting for alchemical components. Then their downtime, when they're sleeping, when they're resting, when they're on trips, they're out there gathering up herbs and spices and various other weird components. So when they get back in town, they're like, we are going to make everything. I'm like, I'm not even going to ask what stuff you've got because I'm sure you've got it. Oh, they've worked the rules out with me. They've worked out, they're actually telling me, but I'm like, yeah, I understand what you're doing. You're all crafting. This is why when they go, and this is also a group where they're like, I know you're going to die, like where death happens and they're like, well, good luck, but I'm going to die. We know you're going to die. We can't save you, but we're going to make sure that nobody eats your body. And then they booby trap them because even in death you should take someone with you. And
now see my fun one that I did once was I played a artificer. So I made this beautiful rod. It kind of made it maybe look like a shotgun, but it wasn't a shotgun. And when I pulled the trigger, it shot lightning, fireball, and magic missile, all in succession. Every round.
You're doing it right.
Yeah, I mean, I think my best moments have been I'm not going to knock my high levels of play that I've gotten into, but I will say some of my best memories are of the mid levels. Especially with the super knick-knacky items. Like I just happened to be in a stairwell, like one of those spiral stairwells, and this is where that Dust of Dryness really came in. Is we're fleeing up the stairs from a force, and I had 5 uses of Dust of Dryness that had 100 gallons of water stored in each of them. So I'm like, you know what? That's 500 gallons of water. That shit's heavy, and we're on a narrow spiral staircase in an enclosed space. I'm gonna be the last one going up the stairs, and once we get near the top, I'm gonna crush all 5 stones, or I'm gonna put them under heel and crush them and wash everyone behind us away, because it's 500 gallons of water. Like, strength check to stay standing, or get taken all the way to the bottom. Some of those are like my best and favorite memories of games, is those mid-tier levels and the mid-tier items or mid-level items.
I don't know. I've normally play a ranger, and since I learned the wonders of Dust of Dryness, I will get a.
I need to. My apologies, everyone. It's late for me, and I have a very busy day tomorrow, so I'm going to bow out of this. So
fair enough. Good seeing you on here tonight, Kai.
Yeah.
But enjoy your nights, everybody. Bye.
Night, buddy.
Bye, bud.
And actually, I am probably going to have to make that same move because I've got to get early.
Journey.
Yeah.
Because we kind of got off target on tangent. And that happens.
Yeah.
But
what? On a tangent? Never.
So, I think now would be a good time for us. Do we want to keep talking about middle levels next game? Because I have a few more things to say about middle levels.
Actually, I believe Well, I think we can touch on it and then move on to
Go into high level afterward. Yeah. So definitely note those down for next time, and we'll open with those and go into the high levels of play afterward.
Yes.
That sounds like a great idea.
Because it's going to be 2 nights of talking about high level play. Because I'm going to be back at home. I'm going to actually be hosting Gatekeepers for the first time in 10 weeks.
Whoa!
So, yeah.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Bruce is like, thank God.
Mine hosting. I'll take the watch hours. That's fine.
But yeah, we'll be doing that on Wednesday night, and then we'll be continuing that discussion here on Thursday. Maybe even rehashing some of the stuff that I kind of go in over there. I do invite any of the gatekeepers who do want to join me on that to definitely do so. Definitely should be an interesting.
What night is that?
Going to be Wednesday.
Wednesday of next week?
Yes.
Yay!
So yes, it will be the return of the Baron. So yes, I will be making my triumphant return to where I can actually put stuff on my thing. Yeah. Bruce, I don't know if you caught my 2 videos from yesterday.
I was kind of busy, but I apologize.
Okay.
I'll try to watch them after this tonight.
Oh no! You're gonna yell at me because I decided to consolidate my 2 channels.
I got some people leaving chat. I'm gonna say thanks for showing up. Those who are deciding to leave chat.
Yep.
Thank you so much for coming and watching.
Thank you guys for showing up, because otherwise we'd just be talking amongst ourselves. And you guys do give us a lot of encouragement. We have a lot of interaction with the chat, and I even like seeing the chat interact with itself. I mean, you guys do a fantastic job, and I look forward to interacting with each and every one of you over the course of time. If you didn't see it, we had a special Gatekeepers last night. We brought Shadow and Son on, and it was Gatekeepers, not TableBreakers.
Yeah, it was Gatekeepers.
It was Gatekeepers.
Yeah, this is TableBreakers. Yesterday was Gatekeepers.
I get confused sometimes. I'm sorry. When I
all the time.
5 out of 6 nights of streaming, I'm like, what the? Yeah.
So what are you doing on Saturday, Bruce?
This Saturday, I'm trying to stay off the web for one day.
I was going to say,
yeah, that's probably a good idea. The wife needs a little attention, so go give her that attention.
We're actually going to go for some pew time.
That has so many different meanings.
The most important one is the range.
Ah!
Not to my eye, a Papa Smurf.
But
all right,
Cigar DM, what are you doing this week? You going to be putting up any new videos? You should.
I am going. Like I said, I've had my daughter, which I'm not complaining. I love having my daughter. So getting time to actually where I can record is not really been an option for me. You will see me here tomorrow, and probably see me again on Friday. Depends on how that goes. Tomorrow is Friday. I will be painting. I think I've got back into my painting niche. And other than that, I will be putting together a recipe for a cider that I'm thinking about brewing that does not involve apples. As I joked around with Jade the other day about starting a channel attached to this one called, and I said earlier, Three Schmucks in the Bucket, or some variation of that, of brewing and whatnot, because I like doing it and everybody else likes drinking. So that's really what I got going on.
If you're in the greater Bakersfield area, Shadow and Son says there's a gun show on Saturday, one of the first they've had in 2 years. It'd be a nice way for you to get out and interact with some good people.
So everybody wear their tank tops and their short sleeve shirts, so the gun show can be fully out.
Yes. All right. What about Jade? I know you're busy with a lot of things. You're still working on that diorama or that 3D look for your Daggerfall background, correct?
I am still working on the art. Yes. This week I actually took time to kind of tweak some of the audios. I don't know if anyone's heard the audio, if it's gotten better or gotten worse. Let me know. But I was really looking into plugins for the PC so I could really tackle my audio and video qualities. I went and got OBS and a couple other things. So that's been my focus this week. I'll get back into the art. I might do like temp art so I can start recording videos in the interim time and get those posted. I will be doing a intro video and a what does it mean to me to be a master of the game. That'll be my first episode. Hopefully in the coming weeks, hopefully before May.
I'm looking forward to watching this, and I didn't think your audio was that bad in the first place, but I know how people are. They are very critical of things, and they get worried about others' perceptions.
Well, I mean, I've listened to our channel, or the TableBreakers. I've listened to it back a couple times, and I've noticed that my audio was fading in and out, or it was I had like hard S sounds, but my semblance was way off. So I wanted to curb some of that and get better, punchier audio and cleaner, crisper audio for the audience as well as for my recording capabilities.
Sounds good. Well, look forward to seeing your channel come together. Garrett, can't wait for you to get home full time. Cigar DM.
No shit.
Cigar DM, I might be getting in touch with you Sunday night. I don't know what's going on yet. Also, for the chat that's still here, Biggest Geekus is a growing channel, and they probably would like your support. And if you are a veteran gamer that does a lot of gaming, any edition of D&D, other fantasy RPGs, sci-fi, you might want to check out and subscribe to them. Yeah. They are a growing channel. They have gotten over 200 subscribers, which seems to be the really hard spot for a lot of people to get up to. And I like to shout out guys. I really do. I think they're one of the new channels that's going to take us a little further, because they go into really good deep dives. Right now they're going into Monsters of the Week Undead was their last stream, and that is their channel right there. They are also affiliates of Legion of Myth and others in the Gatekeepers circle. So we would like to see you guys there whenever they stream on Tuesdays. And until we adjourn again next week, we talk about high-level campaigns. I can't wait for it. If there's nothing else to be said, gentlemen.
I got nothing.
Me either.
Everybody
Awesome.
Be safe, and we hope to see you again next Thursday night.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for showing up.